South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome in. It's Sports by the Book. Here at the South Point, as always. Welcome in. I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you as always. What did you tell me before the show, Sean? Don't sue me. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Don't worry. We're in good shape. Sean and Drew Dog are here as always. And a lot to get to over the next hour or so as we get to go through all of this college basketball on a Saturday. 12 games at a time. So we'll do 12 games in a segment, and we'll go through there. Some more conference tournaments getting underway today. Conference tournaments continuing to roll along, and a lot of fun here on the program here today. And we'll move a little bit to the left, slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross, right? That's how it goes, Sean, right? So we'll be in good shape there. Let's get to it. Let's roll. Let's get right in. There we go. We're going to be stronger than the basketballs, and we begin in Athens, Georgia this morning. 2 teams on their way to the NCAA tournament, the Vanderbilt Commodores and the Georgia Bulldogs. The matchup here today in Athens. Ridiculous how this website is working with our lines right now. Georgia's 5.5, 150. The current number here, there were some 6s this morning, so that's where we're at right now. I would be very careful. And again, this is going to be my rule of thumb with these remaining regular season games on the board here. I would tread very carefully on a lot of these regular season games today in non-conference tournaments, because of how sharp these numbers are right now. And to me, right now, you entered today, Joe Lunardi has both of these teams in the NCAA tournament. Georgia has worked their way up the last 3 weeks. Really, it started with that win over the Florida Gators for Georgia, where they lost 5 out of 6. And they win 3 in a row. They're in good shape now. If they win today, they'll end up 8-10 in the SEC, which, you know what, totally acceptable for this quality of the league. Vanderbilt safely in at this point, even with that loss earlier in the week to Arkansas. Total 150 on this game. Yeah, I would just tread carefully on this one. I would stay off. Probably be about 70 possessions, close on that total. If you can get into the low 70s on possessions, you're probably okay on the over, but that would be the only thing I'd look at here. Marquee matchup in Milwaukee next. St. John's taking on Marquette. Big one here, up to 4 in this game now, total 146. So, this is going to be the theme of today. These games are going, especially these regular season ones, are going to be hard to find an angle. First matchup between these teams in Madison Square Garden, 70-64. St. John's won by 6. Marquette coming off the loss to UConn. Now, I've talked about this all year. I'm not a big believer in this Marquette team. I think they're fine. I think they're a fine team. I don't think that they are an NCAA a deep team threat in the tournament. I think at best they're a Sweet 16 team, but right now Lenardi's got them as a 6. They got the Shaka Bowl because right now he has them projected to play VCU. If they drew VCU, would not be shocked if they lost that game, even with VCU's upset loss yesterday to Dayton, which actually kind of hurts VCU's non-auto bid chances if they would have to be an at-large. I think St. John's is just much better. This also would be a lean to the under in this game. I don't know if we're going to get enough possessions, and Marquette is much better defensively. We know St. John's much better defensively, number 2 in the country in defense on KenPom, opposed to 70th on offense. So it would be a look at the under. That'd be the only thing I would consider here this morning. All right. Next up, Arkansas welcomes Mississippi State Hogs squarely on the bubble here. 1.5 on this one with Arkansas. Boy, this is such a difficult one to look at here. Hail State loses earlier in the week to Texas at home. Arkansas, you have no idea what the heck you're getting at this point. You really don't. You don't know. They've won 3 out of 4, but that one that they lost was the embarrassing, just getting their butt whipped by South Carolina, who's the worst team in the league. It would only be a look here, I think, to Arkansas, but I would be treading carefully. Again, tread carefully in these regular season matchups here at the end of the year. A lot of these games are going to be super, super tight based off these numbers, just because, again, there's so much data at this point that these numbers are as sharp as they're going to be all year long. All right, going to Missouri and Kentucky next. Tigers, losers of 2 in a row. Kentucky's beat up on LSU earlier in the week. The market is all over Mizzou here, which I'm not so sure about that. The total's what I would look at. Now, this total's had a wild ride. 170 up to 173. Now back down to the opener. I don't see the argument for the under in this game. I just don't see it. Now, look, 170 points is a lot of points, and it's right where KenPom has it projected. But Missouri's defense has been a sieve the last few games. Ever since that game against Vanderbilt, their defense has honestly not been good at all. Actually, I dated back to the game against Alabama for Mizzou. Kentucky, their defense has been better of late, but it's still not a high-end defense either. Big look into the over. Again, both of these teams want to run. Kentucky, top 30 pace. Missouri's 133rd in pace, but they're 5th in the country on offense. And again, their defense is just looking so bad right now. 170 feels too light. Even at that big of a number, we'll go over the 170 on that game here today. All these games you just talked about go at the top of the hour, so you got to get those bets in right now. I would not bet the side in this. If this touches 7, you can take Kentucky, but you can't take Mizzou at a bad number. Mizzou is a very popular bet at BetMGM this morning, which, again, I'm a little bit perplexed on why that happens to be the case here today. All right, conference tournaments now, because we got a few games that are starting at 9 a.m., so we'll rattle through a bunch of these conference tournaments. 7:35, 7:36 here, Sean. Down to the CAA with Elon and Drexel. Elon and Drexel is where we're going first. Bracket in the Colonial. These games all were chalk yesterday. So Delaware beat Stony Brook as a favorite. Hofstra annihilated NCA&T as a favorite. So we start with the 8-9 game. all these games in Washington, D.C. Drexel and Elon, a pick'em here this morning. Now, Elon has been floundering. Since February 6th, there are 2-6. But their 2 wins are against the 2 best teams in the conference. They won in Wilmington, and they beat Towson. That Wilmington game was pretty fluky. 59 possessions, 151 points. It just didn't happen. They'll take on Drexel, who won their last 4. Much better. They did beat 3 bottom teams, but they did beat Charleston as well. So they do have 1 good win in there. The only matchup this year, Elon won by 7 in Philadelphia. Slow tempo game, 58 possessions. And in the conference tournament, that's usually a good recipe for an under. But I'm going on the side here. I like Elon. Even with the struggles of late, and even with Drexel playing better, Elon is still the better team to me. And I actually made Elon 2. Pick seems pretty good on the Phoenix here. Expect them to rise to the occasion here today. We'll take Elon as a pick in D.C. for that early game in the CAA. The rest of the CAA right now, Delaware and Campbell, 2.5. That's too light. Too light on the favorite here. Delaware, before yesterday, when they beat and did not cover against Stony Brook, Delaware was 4-2 in the league after a win against Elon on January 18th. They ended in the league 5-13, 2-11 in their last 13 games, and their only win was at home against a William and Mary team that's terrible away from Williamsburg. Campbell been struggling down the stretch. I get it. They've lost 5 out of their last 6. Their only win came against this floundering Blue Hen team. But again, this is an offense versus a defense game. Delaware, very good on offense, horrendous on defense. Campbell, good on defense, not good on offense. It'd still be a look to Campbell here, just shy of 3. I'm a little bit surprised this came so light, even with the struggles of Campbell down the stretch. Again, Campbell had a shot to realistically end up in the top 3 before that melt down the stretch and having to play 1 extra game. Be interesting to see what a William and Mary Campbell line comes, because style is very similar to what we're going to get in this game. William and Mary just does it a little bit better than what Delaware does. Hampton and Northeastern, I have nothing in this game. I really have stayed off of Northeastern most of the year. 1, Hampton, yeah, this feels right. The only look, and again, with a lot of these conference tournaments, I actually prefer first halves more so than the full game. Hampton's been playing much better. Started 3-7 in conference, 3-8. Ended the season winning 5 out of their last 7. So playing a lot better basketball, even with the last 2 games being tight losses on the road to Drexel and Towson. They only lost by a combined 4 points, so not bad there. But yeah, this is a stay off. I had the Northeastern 1. Feels 100% right. And then the last game in this tournament today, Monmouth and Hofstra. So the 11 seed Hofstra is a 3.5-point favorite in this one. And I'm sure there'll be people looking at this and be like, what? Why? Well, it's right. Monmouth, who had a disastrous non-con, as we know, played pretty well in conference play, 10-8. I mean, they were 2-11 in non-con. They're a bad non-con team. Hofstra, who, disappointment this year. I thought they were going to be much better. They're going to want to grind it. Monmouth's going to want to run. Again, I favor the grinder teams over the running teams in conference tournaments, especially when the talent is even and the teams are familiar with each other. So stay off. I wish Hofstra was a little bit shorter, maybe 1.5, but not at 3.5. Can't bet that. The number's too high. All right, going to the SoCon next. Number 1 seed Chattanooga in action for the first time here in this one. We talked about this earlier in the week. Chattanooga has an amazing offense, especially for a slightly lower than mid-major conference. SoCon champions of the regular season, were 53rd in the country in offense. 11-game winning streak coming in. Mercer was lucky to get out with a win yesterday against Western Carolina. Again, the question on this game, more so than anything, because Mercer wants to play fast, but their offense stinks. And again, normally look to unders in these games, but 152 I think is pretty good to the over here. Again, as long as Chattanooga is sharp offensively, you should be able to get there on 152 over. 9.5's tough to lay, but be very hard-pressed to take the dog. It's up to 10 at a lot of spots right now here across town as well. UNC Greensboro, then the 2 seed takes on VMI. VMI handled the Citadel yesterday. 10.5 on this one, 136.5. No quibble with these numbers. Just a matter for Greensboro, a team that plays super, super slow. How comfortable are you laying double digits? VMI the other way. They want to play as fast as humanly you can. By the way, the Citadel completed a nice 0-19 stretch in conference play. Very nice by them in that loss yesterday to VMI. No play here. These numbers spot on with Greensboro and VMI. Now we get to these next two games, which I like both of these games. Wofford against ETSU. I like the underdog in this game. I wish I was getting more points, though. I'll take Wofford on the money line at plus 105. So the way this league works, to me, so Ken Palm will get to Samford as the 4 seed as the top-rated team. Wofford is actually higher rated than ETSU and Ken Palm. So the matchups this year between these two teams, Wofford won in Johnson City on the road, and ETSU won in Spartansburg. So the road team won both. You don't see that very often, but Wofford wants to slow it down. ETSU wants to slow it down as well. But to me, I actually trust the better offense in this matchup more so just because I'm concerned in this game about ETSU's ability to make the 2-point shot. They are not good shooting the 2. And if they are having a problem shooting the 3, I'd rather have the team that has the ability to score inside, what ETSU really does not. So this will be a look at the Terriers of Wofford here in this one as a short underdog. And then Furman and Samford, the final game here in this conference, 4 versus 5, rematch of last year's final here in round 2 technically, but really the first game for both of these teams. Find a 3 with the Bulldogs. Find a 3 and lay it. Just, even though they have to play Chattanooga in the next round, I still think Samford is going to repeat here and win back-to-back. Now, also, too, tempo-wise, this game's going to be super fast because I expect this to be played at the tempo of the Bulldogs of Samford. Now, Samford, their last 4 games, Buckyball really got going. Over 72 possessions in every game. They had an 84 mixed in there. Last 2 games were 74 and 75 respectively. The Greensboro game, they played a 75-possession game and they're 208 points. So Bucky McMillan is getting his team to play at the tempo he wants to play in these games. And I'm just not certain Furman's going to be able to hold up here in this one. Now, Furman won both regular season matchups. That's another reason I also kind of like Samford here. There are select matchups where, yeah, the old cliche of it's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year is bogus. This one, I think, is actually not as bogus. Where Furman was able to play the first game closer to their tempo, but they did beat Samford by 8 in a game that was at Samford's tempo. So we'll see what Samford learned from that last one in the Birmingham area. But I would look to the Bulldogs here. Find a 3. Wouldn't go north of that here this morning. All right. I want to hit 2 last ones that are going at 9 a.m. Sorry, guys, real quick. In the extra board, St. Francis and LIU, all the way at the bottom in the Northeast. LIU is 6.5. Would only lean to the Sharks here. Again, the winner of this game will likely play Central Connecticut, who's 9.5 against Fairleigh Dickinson. But I would lay the favorite in both of those games when I look to the dog. And then Radford and High Point. High Point, the best team in the Big South by margin. 9 against Radford, who needed overtime to beat Presbyterian yesterday. A little look to them. And I also like UNC Asheville as a dog, as the better seed against Winthrop. 1.5 would take the money line in that league. So 2 extra board leagues in their semifinal here today. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to regular season ball next. We go to Madison, Wisconsin, Penn State, and more. When we get back, Sports by the Book, live at the South Point studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games.
Who's we?
Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the dark tones. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book yet again here at the South Point. Happy to be with you as always as we keep rolling on a college basketball Saturday. And let's go to Madison next. Wisconsin, an 11.5-point favorite against Penn State. So Penn State cannot make it to the Big Ten tournament. They are done. The Badgers, with a win, solidify themselves into a top 4 seed. Purdue loses last night to Illinois, so win for Maryland and Wisconsin, and there's not even a tie, they would be into the quarterfinals right away. Both of these teams are big favorites here today. Total 153 is what intrigues me the most here. So I'd be looking at the over, because for Penn State, they played fast to begin with. They're more efficient on offense than they are defense. This is the last game of the year. This is it. They're not playing anymore this year. They're going to be under 500 if they lose this game, so no postseason play at all. Expect this game to be a more offensive forward game. If you're Wisconsin too, especially with the Purdue loss last night, you're going to be in to the bye. Like, won't be as stressful of a game here. So it'd be looked to an over at 153 would be the only way I'd look to play this one. Going to Manhattan next, Kansas State welcomes Iowa State. Of course, these two teams met up earlier in the year, and Iowa State lost as a gigantic 16.5-point favorite to this K-State team in Ames by 19 points, one of the more perplexing results of the entire regular season. 6.5 now on this game, and quite frankly, I think that's too much still. Now, check the health for Kansas State. Coleman Hawkins is still banged up. K-State did win earlier in the week in Cincinnati. I know that for Iowa State, after losing that type of game, the first go-around, of course, focus is better, all that fun jazz, but boy, it feels like a lot to be laying on the road with an Iowa State team that, again, other than that win against Arizona, again, on March 1. Since they beat Kansas on January 15th, it really has not been murderer's row that they beat. Now, granted, Kansas State would fall into that non-murderer's row category, but this has not been the team that we saw at non-con that should have beat Auburn, that handled Marquette with ease, that beat Texas Tech early in conference play on the road. This is just not the same team that we saw earlier in the year there in Ames now. Going to Louisville next, Cardinals. Again, have a chance at an 18-2 ACC. Amazing job by Pat Kelsey, who, if I had a vote, I would vote him National Coach of the Year for what he inherited and what this Louisville team has done. They take on Stanford, who's not a pushover. Stanford heading for a top 8 seed in the ACC. Granted, this year's ACC is weak as it's ever been. 10.5 the number here. That feels a little bit strong, but Louisville has exceeded expectations all year. The market did take this down from 12, which definitely would have been a play, but 10.5, again, worse than a number. Still think anything north of 10 is probably okay with Stanford. This feels like a single-digit win for Louisville here today, but boy, again, struggle to take the worst in a number, but it would only be a look to Stanford, even at the 10.5 currently. All right, going to Knoxville next. Tennessee welcomes South Carolina. 15 now on this game. Actually, we just moved to 14 moments ago here at the South Point. Everywhere else is 15 now. So if you want the best number possible on Tennessee, bet it behind me. Total 132 on this game. Here's the deal with Tennessee. As we talked about, playing better, even with that loss earlier in the week to Ole Miss. I'm still concerned about their offense long term. Now, this should not impact them today. South Carolina, bottom team in the SEC. The question is that total, can you go under a total that low here? I think you can justify it. Right now at 132 on this game with Tennessee and South Carolina. All right, going to the Ivy next. The Ivy League, we start in Providence with Brown and Yale. Here's the deal in the Ivy. This is the final day of the regular season. Yale, they clinched a 1 seed a long time ago. They lost to Harvard last weekend for the first conference loss. Brown and Harvard are technically still both alive. They both need to win, and Princeton, who we'll get to momentarily, would need to lose to Penn. So there is some hope. If it's Brown and Harvard and Princeton all tied, it would come down to the tie breaks, which would actually lead us to Brown getting the bid. But We have a lot of things to get to before we even get there. 7 in this game against Yale, it would only be a take of Brown. There's no motivation for Yale. Really, the biggest thing in this game, the conference tournament, is at Brown's home court. So get used to your surroundings if you're Yale. You're going to hopefully be there for 2 games next week, but it would only be a take of Brown in this one. Harvard hosting Dartmouth. Dartmouth's already in. They're either going to be the 2 or the 3 seed in this tournament. Pick would only be Harvard here. Would only be Harvard with everything to play for in this game. And then the last one, Penn and Princeton. It's 8 at Jarwin for Princeton in this one. I would be very careful laying 8. Be very careful laying 8. That's all I'd say. You could moneyline parlay Princeton, Brown, and Harvard if you wanted to. I wouldn't mind that. And have them not moneyline Brown. +7 with Brown, moneyline Princeton, moneyline Harvard. I wouldn't mind doing that if you wanted to throw those 3 together here today. It's an Ivy lay here today. All right, now for something a little bit different, the game of the day. Auburn welcomes Alabama. Of course, these 2 teams did battle already in T-Town this year, and Auburn went on the road and won. Won that game by 9. Back a little less than a month ago on February the 15th. Bama, that caused the downside for Bama. Bama's lost 4 or 6 since, including that game. So Bama's played off the 1 line. They're probably the highest 2 seed now. As the case is always with Bama, the total, they can't make them high enough. Definitely like this game over, even at 179.5, which again, super duper high, as we know for this. You can get 178.5 in the market. I would go over the lower number. There's no reason to think that this game won't be played in the 90s again. I would stay away from the side, though. I think that's right at 8. I have no problem with Auburn being that big of a favorite in this game at home. Coming off a loss, no less, against Texas A&M earlier. We could only be an over in this game at 178.5. Find those good numbers. 179.5, probably okay still. Anyway. All right. UConn and Seton Hall. Seton Hall, of course, upset the Huskies earlier this year. Danny Hurley just can't win in Newark. 17 in this one with a total of 131.5. Super big line. Very low total. Would actually only look to the over, which, again, in Pirate games is a very dangerous deal. Slow tempo, pathetically bad offense. But it would only be a look to the over here at that super low total, especially, again, with the way UConn struggled in that first one, lost that first matchup. This could be a thumping as well. I don't want to lay 17, though. That's a lot of points to be laying in this game. All right, going to Maryland and Northwestern next. So, Wildcats are in that clump of teams that's got 7 wins in the Big Ten. Northwestern should be okay in making it to the conference tournament here. Again, we'll all find out tomorrow. Nebraska and Iowa is the big one. The winner of that game, Iowa wins that game, we could have some chaos. If Nebraska wins tomorrow, then everyone who's in is staying in. I actually kind of like taking the 11 with Northwestern. Now, I expect Maryland to win this game. I don't think Northwestern can pull an outright upset. That would be a shocker to me. But this feels like a lot of points to be laying with Maryland, even at home. Now, final home game, they've been great at home this year. Only home loss in conference was to Michigan State. But coming off that big road win in Ann Arbor against the Wolverines, it's not the greatest of spots for Maryland. Also, too, that bye is in good shape now. If they lose, they would cede the double bye to Purdue because Purdue beat them heads up. But again, it's 11 points, a lot of points to be laying here in this game. So I'd look only to the dog in Northwestern getting 11 here. Cincinnati and Oregon State, or Oklahoma State, I should say, excuse me. Huge contrast to styles here. Oklahoma State wants to play fast. Cincinnati wants to grind the game to a halt. Cincinnati's defense, we know, high end. Even though it has not been as good in conference play. They're 20th overall in the country. They're actually 8th in Big 12 play on defense for conference only. Oklahoma State, wants to play fast, but they are last in offense efficiency in the Big 12 and Big 12 play. So it is one of those weirdo ones when it comes to that. But I'd only look to the under here in this game, even with the game being in Stillwater. That would be the only way I'd look to play this. Bubble Bowl in Bloomington. Talked about this yesterday with Chris and Vinny. Indiana's 2 against, make it 2.5 now, against Ohio State in this game. Oh, man. I thought this should have came Indiana 1, which would have been a bet on Indiana for me. I do think the Hoosiers win this game, but I'm not interested in laying over $1.40. I said I need to be lower than $1.40 on the money line. But that would be the only way I'd look to go here. Indiana has really dominated this series in Bloomington. But both of these teams are so average. And they're both probably going to be in the NCAA tournament. But we want to expand it more, though, guys. That's always been the case, as we know. But it would be a look to Indiana. I wouldn't go much more than $1.40 on the money line, though. That would be the highest I'd look to go here. All right, going Xavier and Providence before we take a quick break. Xavier's on the bubble. Providence is playing awful basketball right now. Don't love the idea of laying 12. Don't love the idea of that. Total, though. Xavier, we know, wants to play fast. Even with that, I'd still think I'd go under at 151. Don't know if we're getting enough offense out of Providence. That's really the big issue, more so than anything in this game. Would only be a look at the under at 151 in Providence and Xavier. All right, we'll take a 2-minute break. When we get back, more regular season games, conference tournaments, and more. Sports by the Book, live at the South Point studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book. Let's keep it rolling. A lot of college hoops to get to. A&M and LSU up first here out of the break. 7 here at the South Point. You can find some 7.5, and I would take that 7.5 in this game. Now, huge win earlier in the week for A&M. On the road, at home, beating Auburn. LSU got thumped on the road, and Kentucky has really struggled since that back-to-back wins at Oklahoma and then the win against South Carolina. But this is a tricky spot for A&M. on the road after beating the best team in the country, after, again, a 4-game losing streak preceded that. I would only be a look. Go find the 7.5. Go get the right number on this game. That'd be the only way I'd look to play that here in this one, taking it with LSU. All right, let's go to the fog next. Kansas taking on Arizona, up to 4. Oh, boy. So when this opened last night at the shorter numbers, I like Kansas. Now up to 4. Boy, this is a stay off. Just can't trust this Jayhawk team this year. It really has just been super inconsistent. Again, 3 home losses. If they lose one more, it'll be the most losses that Self has had in a single season at home, period. Might even exceed what he's done in the last 5 years at this rate. But it would only be a look. Maybe a money line Kansas with someone else, but be very careful with the way that KU has been this year. Super, super, super inconsistent team across the board this year. Going to Omaha next. Creighton, 11 against Butler. Now, 152 to total, the more intriguing thing. So, man, I don't know if we're going to get the pace. I really don't. We realistically need 72 in order, at least for me, to be comfortable here. If we get a low 70s, it is an over game still. Efficient offenses. Butler, again, really has struggled on defense this year. But it would only be a look to the over at 152 on this game. Clemson and Virginia Tech. Clemson is 17 now in this game. Boy. Total, I would look for the highest total available and go under it. 137.5 is still available at the Westgate. That would be the only thing I'd look to do here. Look for the highest number possible on the total and go under. That would be the only way I'd look to play this one with Clemson and Virginia Tech. Clemson's just been under the radar all year long. Chance at 18 conference wins here on the air. All right, going to Gainesville next. Ole Miss takes on Florida. Horrendous spot for Ole Miss. They upset last week. They upset Tennessee in the middle of the week. Florida, 12.5-point favorites in this one, even though, yes, I know the Gators went on the road to Tuscaloosa and won, but this is a brutal spot here for Ole Miss, having to go on the road to a very difficult place to play. Would only be a look to the favorite, but again, a lot of points. Tread carefully here on this one at 12.5. All right, going to Chapel Hill next. Duke. How about this? You don't see this very often in this rivalry. Double figures with the home team you're getting. Now, UNC, very average basketball team. I would be only taking points with UNC, but Duke is that much better that they should be double figures in this game. Carolina on the wrong side of the bubble right now. Lenardi has them as the 69th team. Duke is going to be one of the top 2 teams in this tournament. They're going to be the one in the East. But I would look to take it with North Carolina at double figures. That'd be the only way I look to do this here in this one. USC and UCLA, 9.5 is a little steep. A little steep there. If you came down a little bit on UCLA, I'd look to lay the points with the Bruins. First matchup between these teams, UCLA won at Galen by 6. USC is in that collection of teams with 7 conference wins right now. But I would see if you can get a better number on UCLA. That would be the way I look to play that in Paulie here tonight. Bubble Bowl in Austin. Oklahoma takes on the Longhorns. Texas looking for a sweep in this series. They won in Norman earlier in the year. It's 5. It's too many points. I don't trust either of these teams. I don't think Oklahoma's all that good. I think Texas is horrendously coached. I would lean to taking the 5 with OU in this spot, but boy, there's no trustworthiness for either of these teams in this game with Oklahoma and Texas. 5, the total on this one. Going to Tempe next. Texas Tech, Arizona State, 10.5, 152.5 on this game. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. First meeting between these teams, 111, 106, and 2 overtimes. I don't love the spot for Texas Tech. This feels like a sleepy spot. Final game of the regular season on the road in a place that's unfamiliar. You're not going lower than the 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament, and if Arizona loses today, you're getting a 2. Weird spot, even against the 15-seeded team in this conference. I don't think Arizona State can win this game, but taking the points makes a lot of sense to me on this one. All right, continuing on, Baylor and Houston. Houston, already with the number 1 seed, locked up in the conference tournament. 4 seems too low. I know it's nothing to play for Houston. Baylor needs every big-time win they can get to at least just assure that they're not going to Dayton. If they lose this and then lose round 1 in Kansas City, you could get some weirdness. But I would be very careful about taking points. This is super, super low, even on the road for Houston. Would only be a look to the Cougs in this game. And in the Holy War, BYU, 12.5 and 12 in the market against Utah. 154. BYU is one of the hottest teams in the country and played themselves all the way up to a legitimate NCAA tournament team with their 7 straight wins. It would only be a look to the over in this game. That'd be the only thing I look to play. I think the pace will be there here in this one. All right, one last break. When we get back, conference tournaments, semifinals in a few spots, as well as a few tournaments getting underway. When we get back, Sports by the Book live at the South Point.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book. We go to conference tournaments now. Let's go to the Missouri Valley first. Drake welcomes Belmont. Well, plays Belmont. They are not welcoming anyone. They're all welcome to St. Louis. They're all meeting each other there. 8 in this one with a total of 132. We talked about Drake yesterday. Nice methodical performance yesterday in a win against SIU. Belmont really smacked around Illinois State. Carried a 23-point lead into the break and won comfortably yesterday. The meetings between these teams, they only played once. And I mentioned this yesterday. Belmont got held to 46 points and lost 65-46 in Des Moines for this game, with Drake winning with ease. I expect Drake to handle their business again. There's no reason to think that Drake will not advance through this tournament and end up winning this tournament, especially with the team that I thought had the best crack of beating them going out yesterday. We'll get to that in a second. The question is, can you go under 132? Because Belmont does want to run, and if Belmont can find a way to inflict their tempo on this game at all, maybe this could be a game that goes over that 132. But I mean, again, I'd find a few moneyline partners for Drake here today. They're not going to blow this game outright. But laying 8 is a little bit steep for me here. Bradley and Valpo's the other game. Valparaiso, the 11 seed, pummeled UIC, upset there. And then yesterday, it's a double-digit dog. Held on for dear life and upset Northern Iowa to end the Panthers season. 9 now the number here. This total has only moved a point. By the way, continuous unders in this league, as we've talked about in the past. I wish I was getting double figures and I would take it with Valpo. I'd also look to the under in this game at 139. That would be the only way to look here, at least pre-flop here. Even though, again, you can get double figures, I think you can consider that with Valpo if it happens to go up there. All right, to the Sun Belt. We see some more teams here and participate. Now, Arkansas State, who is the betting favorite as the 4 seed, takes on Marshall, who came from behind to beat Georgia State yesterday. 8 and 149. All these numbers feel right to me and would not touch this. Again, you can put Arkansas State in the moneyline parlay. I do not see them blowing this game. They're just much better than this Marshall team. There really is a gap between the top 4 and everybody else in this league. So, and that's another theme in the next game where Troy takes on Old Dominion, who, by the way, has already won 3 games and still has to win 3 more in order to win this tournament. 11.5, 130. Would actually only be a look to the over in this game. Now that we're bet down on this total, that would be the only look here. Old Dominion came from behind and beat Appalachian State yesterday. Kind of a stunner there. App State was in total control of that game in the first half. But looking at 11.5 in this one feels a little steep, but it would only be a look to the over at 130 on that one. All right, going to the Summit next. South Dakota with a big upset over North Dakota State yesterday, taking on the 1 seed Omaha. Boy. I've been looking for reasons to fade Omaha this whole time. Did it to no success the other day. Now today it's 5. In this one, I would only look to South Dakota taking the 5. Also look to the over in this game. South Dakota wants to play obscenely fast. We've talked about this. They're a top 5 tempo in the country. But it would only be a look at the Coyotes here taking the 5 in this one with Omaha. And then the other game in this league, North Dakota stunned South Dakota State yesterday. Stunned them. Thomas Eaglestaff put up 51 points in that game for North Dakota in their win. I don't think Lightning is striking twice. And for the Tommies, what a big-time break this is that they don't have to see South Dakota State. I would be a look at laying 7.5 for the Tommies. Again, Trace and Eaglestaff is not going for 51 again. It's just not happening. As good of a player as he is, it'd be a lay of the Tommies here at 7.5, and now it's set up. I think St. Thomas is winning this league now, personally. They are the betting favorites. They should be. I have them winning the conference now with South Dakota State and North Dakota State now both gone here in this league. All right, the first championship game of conference tournament week, SIUE and SEMO. First ever conference tournament final for SIU Edwardsville. SEMO was in the tournament 2 years ago. Actually, a little bit surprised at how easily SEMO handled Little Rock yesterday. Thought that'd be a tight game. Very impressive by the Redhawks. But I like the dog outright. Edwardsville, to me, at least in this matchup, this is the one thing with this league. Yeah, SEMO is about 50 slots better than SIUE in KenPom. I am leaning to the team that will play the slower tempo here. Now, the 2 matchups this year were both won by SEMO. So this could be just a case of SEMO matches up really well with SIUE. Maybe they're just not a problem, but I expect the Cougars to have learned from their first 2 losses. So I'll take the 3 with SIUE. I picked them at the beginning. To make this tournament. But that's where we're looking at right now. It would be a look only to the Cougars getting the 3 in this game in the conference championship. To the WCC, Oregon State taking on Pepperdine, who beat Portland with a huge second-half comeback last night. 147.5 and 12. Everything's good there. I just don't love laying 12 at Oregon State, even though I think the Beavers are a much better basketball team in this matchup than the Waves here on this one. And then the other game, Loyola Marymount and Wazoo. Boy, I wish Loyola was more. But I do like the Lions outright here in this one. You can take the plus 135 on Loyola. They just decimated an overmatched San Diego team last night just down the road from us at the Orleans. It would be a take a plus 135 on Loyola. All right, more conference tournaments underway. Big Sky, we go to Starch Madness in Boise. So the Big Sky, number 1 seed Northern Colorado is your betting favorite, and that is 100% spot on. Plus 185 over at the Superbook on Northern Colorado. Plus 280 on Montana. Portland State is plus 550 to Montana State is 7-1. So, looking at the bracket for Starch Madness, so 9 will play 10 in this one. Weber will play Sacramento State here tonight. Northern Arizona will play Eastern Washington. The Weber State, Sacramento State winner will play Northern Colorado. The Northern Arizona, Eastern Washington winner will play Montana. So, Northern Colorado to me is pretty clearly the best team in this league. Now, Ken Palm has that as well. Well, the only thing that's a little funky here is Montana State is the 3rd-rated team in Ken Palm, and they're at a 5 seed in this league. They'll be favored against Idaho State. They'll be a shorter dog against Northern Colorado than anyone but the Grizz. But to me, Northern Colorado is just so much better than everybody else. The one theme in this league is that no one is particularly good on defense except for Portland State, who's on the bottom. But they're the second weakest team in the league on offense. But this is chalk city for me. I really like Northern Colorado to win this league. Plus 185 at the Superbook is a pretty darn good price on UNC. Not that UNC, Northern Colorado. Today's games, Sacramento State and Weber and Eastern Washington and Northern Arizona. If you're just looking at the individual games here for this one, it would only be a look. It would only be a look to the favorite in the Northern Arizona game, and I would steer very, very clear of the Weber State game. Just neither of those teams are any good. Just be careful there. And then the last one today, let's go to the America East. So this is a league, obviously, that has been historically dominated by Vermont. They're the 2 seed this go around. This was Brian's league all year long. And UMBC's the 8. Really, in all honesty, no one has. It's either 1 or 2 in this league. Brian's $1.25 favorite, minus 125, plus 230 on Vermont. Those are the only 2 looks here. Those are the only 2 teams you can realistically consider. UMass Lowell, the 6, I'll just throw this out there, has been snake bitten all year long. Totally snake bitten. And I do like them today against Maine. Outright. That would be a plus money line price that you can take on Lowell. against the main team that, by the way, is not bad. Again, even though they're, again, 3-6, these teams are pretty darn even. Plus 105 is the money line price on Lowell. That'd be the only look that I would have there for the individual games here today. UMBC's 15-point dog at Bryant. New Hampshire's 14.5-point dogs at Vermont. Binghamton, you can take 7 with them if you wanted against Albany. That would be another look as well if you wanted to do that here today. But I like Vermont. That would be the bet if we're looking at a conference tournament future. Plus 230, I think, is a good price, even though you get a pretty reasonable price on the road with them in Bryant, if that is the final, if we end up getting that. All right. That's what we got for you today. Good luck on all your plays. Alex and Kenny will be here tomorrow. More conference tournaments will get underway. Plenty to get to across the board. We'll see you then. Sean Drew Dog, thank you. This has been Sports by the Book live here at the South Point.